and welcome to another episode of Mari's Golden Hour. Thank you so much for spending your golden hour time with me. Hopefully, I will have made you either chuckle, laugh very hard, maybe giving you something to think about, giving you suggestions, something you didn't know before, and maybe just some things to talk about amongst your circle of friends and family. So, here we go. I want to begin by saying that I, along with, I'm sure, plenty of other people, I appreciate the world support that I've seen and the large numbers of people at, I don't want to necessarily call them protests, but civil discourse meetups. That's been great. I am concerned about people being safe. First and foremost, but the support, it has been very cool to see. I saw this aerial shot of downtown Hollywood that is in the epicenter at Hollywood and Highland, and it was about 20,000 people on a Sunday, and that, honestly, the shot was really cool to see, and it wasn't the close-up shots that we see of people yelling or screaming or in pain, or even just discussing and just being peaceful. But to have that huge aerial shots to show all the numbers of people that were supporting, that, admittedly was pretty cool. And I heard from a friend that New Zealand, they were protesting at the U.S. Embassy in solidarity with us. And then an Australian mate in Australia, spending time with his family during the lockdown, he ended up giving me a personal shout out along with other friends of his that are of color. And it was cool just to get that support. And it was another way of letting me know via a very personal connection that the world hears us, and they are also not cool with public execution either. And but like I said, first and foremost, I am concerned for everybody's safety, and but I appreciate the protesting and the public discourse. Along that vein, last episode, I meant to mention this, but I didn't want to keep going on and on and on because I do value people's time. I know that you can stop this at any point and pick it up, but if you are just sitting and listening in one go, I want to try to keep things as concise as possible. However, I also wanted to see how things would play out. Last week, I was I found myself in a corporate setting, and I don't want to name names and put people on the spot in this public way. So I will keep names out of this and locations out of this, but I made this trek that took about over an hour and a half, and I found myself in a corporate setting, and it was early in the morning, and but I was still chipper, even though that was an early hour that I had to wake and dealing with a lot of driving. And so this particular person, who was kind of a gatekeeper, if you will, asked for my name and made a really off-color comment and thought it was hysterical, and it was a little racially insensitive. And I'm going to, I guess, blame this on, his ignorance, but also his age, and I don't know, just being way too comfortable. And his behavior would be what I would expect of somebody of his age, who also feels that he's very familiar with a complete stranger. Maybe if we were in a dive bar, I could probably just kind of let it go, sort of. But I don't know. I said something to the person I actually had dealings with in this environment on this particular day, and they gave an eye roll, and they apologized on behalf of what I went through. And so the eye roll wasn't a negative thing towards me. I kind of felt like either this is something that this particular person has done before, and that's just how he is. This is kind of indicative of, I don't know if anybody has caught that SNL sketch that they did on the two people who were, I guess, going to be let go or reprimanded. And one was it was a security guard who was saying the most sexist, racist things, and up against this person who was really nice and did no harm to anybody else. And everybody came down hard on the person that was really nice and kind, but let go the thing that this, or things that the security guard, I guess, was saying. Because it's like, oh, that's just Ralph, or whatever the name was in the sketch. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to feel about that and how to process it. And no, it's not that I'm this overly sensitive person, but I don't know. Just for that particular time, number one, the time of day. And again, I'm trying to figure out how to handle it because that was early in the morning. I was tired, and but to get hit with that first thing in the morning, and in light of all of these protests and the curfews that had been enacted, it was like in the middle of all of that, and to just, I don't know, not have a better sense of awareness of what's going on around you. So I guess I was kind of ticked off about that. So then a few days pass and another incident happens where I think, and again, I had to kind of think on this too. Like, would the same be asked of me if my skin color was different, or if theirs was different? Because what they wanted me to do, I felt, for really in this time of the virus going on, they shouldn't have had me do. I declined, and they were surprised that I could decline, and I was ready to walk out, and they couldn't understand why I would walk out. So I think that took them by surprise. So that happened, and again, I really don't want to get into it too much. Sorry, I'm being a little bit vague here, but which leads me to something else that happened also this week, and just having somebody listen to a video in a very public corporate environment, and to think the racial slurs that were being thrown out were funny. And I get that, yes, there are some things that do have things that are, or words that are said that can be insensitive to other people, said in movies and videos and songs and all that. But I guess my argument for that is, you are in a corporate setting. You should wear your earphones or your earbuds and listen to that privately if you're going to be in a common area and during company time. So I don't know. It's just, again, in light of everything that's going on, I just kind of expected people to be a little bit more, I guess, aware and aware of their surroundings. So something a little bit on a lighter note, I learned from a member of the Sierra Club that mustard flowers that are seen all around areas of California, those little yellow flowers, I didn't realize that, and at least according to this member, that that was Spain's way of marking their territory, is by throwing out these mustard seeds. And so that whenever they bloomed, you were able to, that was their land. You could see it. So I did a little bit more research, and it wasn't like a huge deep dive into finding out if what this Sierra Club member, and this is according, I guess, to the trail guide that they had, to find out if what was said was correct. So I didn't quite find anything out about Spain itself marking their territory, but through some of the resources that I checked out, it pointed towards legends that would state that the Padres of Spain, they would bring wild mustard seeds with them to the New World, and that when they went from mission to mission exploring California, what they would do is scatter those seeds along the way that would kind of create a golden pathway home. So then when they return in the spring, and they bloom bright yellow, creating this road of gold in order for them to follow home. And but as with many things in history, and especially early history, nothing was written, so who knows if this was really true or mostly true. But I don't know. I guess if you're interested, you can take that particular golden nugget of information and do a further deep dive and discover, I guess, what actually happened. But I just thought that was of interest and, just a part of history. Along with that, I found out that there is, of course, a very rich Native American tribal land history for the particular location that I was checking out, which is further up in California. And so I don't know, but as with most places in our country, it was once populated and owned, I guess, by Native American lands, and it was in the hands of other people. I was trying to catch up on some reading, and I was reading this article written by Lane Dolphin, that's Laynedalfen, who is a dream analyst, and the article is called When Dark Becomes Light. And the article was about polarities in dreams, and what she was saying is that in establishing the polarities or the contradictory nature of dreams, one can find the answer or answers that they're seeking, and that the answer to their questions lies somewhere in the middle of these two polarities. And it was a really interesting article. The one of the many things that stuck out to me was that she spoke how anxiety happens in our head. It's conjured up thought on something that is future oriented, and that when you are in motion, there's no anxiety, and movement, like physical movement, focuses your thoughts on what you are doing in the moment. And I thought that was an interesting observation, because and it could be, and I don't know, I noticed with myself that I sometimes will just purposefully stay busy so I don't have to think about other things. And I don't know, like when things are depressing or sad, and for myself, just with recent loss. And I don't know, it's probably why a lot of people will either work a lot or have multiple hobbies. They'll go out, excessively socialize, have vices to escape. It's all just to escape anxiety, which I know I'm not saying anything new, but it was just one of those reminders. And I don't know, just doing a little bit of self-therapy, which I like to think I'm not the only one that does that. I was listening to NPR early in the week, and I don't know if this particular snippet will be online or on air in any way, but it was on June 10th, listening to KCRW, and Cherry Glazer was giving a report during the music break about how, I don't know if it was like a pro sport or multiple sports were starting up in Florida, and the DJ at the time, I think it was, her name is Ann Lent, she posed the question or comment that it's great that sports are starting, but when will everybody be able to attend all these sports in person? And Cherry Glazer responded something along the lines of, "Oh, you mean watching sports in someplace other than from the comfort of one's own home?" And I thought it was like the perfect dig at, that particular question. and also for people just being trifling and frivolous and really not being mindful of the seriousness of this pandemic that is still going on, and at least just appreciating the fact that they are able to watch their beloved sport on television, which is, I don't know, I just thought it was a pretty good retort. Let's see. Early in the week, I had mentioned, I was in a conversation and mentioned that I don't suffer fools lightly, and that I would have been kicked out of so many different conversations and social circles all throughout life if I just didn't have a basic understanding of what I feel that most, I guess adults or even kids at that time as I was growing up had. And the person who was in the conversation with me said that, well, one person's common sense is different than another person's common sense, and everyone's common sense is different. And I thought, well, it's common sense, and it kind of defeats the purpose of common sense because it's just basic knowledge of general things in life. But then I thought about it, and it's like, I don't know, is her comment valid? I mean, not to discredit that. I mean, everybody's comment is valid about everything. But the fact that everybody's common sense is different, I don't know. Please speak on that. Does anybody have a comment? I'd be happy to hear what you think about that. Is common sense just not common? And go. Let's see, what else? I don't know if anybody else caught this. Dave Chappelle's latest stand-up, which is titled 846. If you are not hip to why it's called 846, please get hip to it. I was able to see it. I don't know if it's still available for free online, but it is good and worth checking out. As with really all things Dave Chappelle, I appreciate the art that man decides to share with us, and it's good stuff. I actually got turned on to it because of a retort in an article of somebody that is mentioned within that particular stand-up, and that's what led me to it. So check it out. Check it out, Dave Chappelle's 846. Should still be able to catch it for free. If not, it will be streaming on Netflix. So as of June 13th, I was again listening to NPR, and I caught wind of yet another killing of a black man by cops. And from what I heard in the report, it was something else that was senseless. And I just kind of thought, I guess I naively thought things would stop or slow down, or people would pause, especially those with badges. And I understand police, the law enforcement, they do have a very tough job, and you never know who is behind a closed door, who is in a car at night, who might be concealing something. But we are seeing cases of excessive force all too often. So everybody on both sides, please just be careful and exercise good judgment. So a song that I happened to hear, it's a song suggestion and something that I heard that was uplifting. It is called Golden Time of Day by Maze, featuring Frankie Beverly. And it kind of embodies the spirit of this podcast. So please check it out and take the words that are in the lyrics. Take it to heart. It is uplifting, and it's, I don't know. Just keep that in mind whenever one is feeling down, and if you need a little boost, listen to it. Another one that I heard, for those fighting the good fight, Young, Gifted, and Black, Aretha Franklin. The original was done by Nina Simone, and just take it with you and keep it to heart. Wow, another article I read was about Jay Farrow, who was one of the players on SNL. who was stopped. I don't know if this was in March or a little bit more recent, but he was stopped by the LAPD as he was out running. He was out running, just exercising, and got stopped by the cops and was told to lay down on the ground. And there is footage of a cop with a knee on his neck. And in that article, which I believe it was an article in People magazine, he recounts his experience with that, which was obviously similar to what has happened with Mr. Floyd. Although Jay Farrow was able to live and talk about it. Hopefully we will see more change, more actual change happening. Juneteenth is coming. Juneteenth, if you are not familiar, please look up the history. I'm not going to educate on this one because I do have a few more things I want to get to, and I want to keep this short, but that is coming. And there are actually bake sales that are taking place. One in particular that got on my radar is called Pies for Justice. It is a bake sale that is an online charity that where the proceeds will go to Black Lives Matter LA and also the Gathering for Justice. They are sweet and savory pies that are going to be baked by favorite chefs, pastry chefs, bakers, restaurant owners, farmers, and foodies. And they are going to be selling the sweet and savories online. And I believe you can go to, I think it's andgatherforgood.com to find out more information. But it sounds like it is really good. Let's see, things that have been on my radar lately. I, just because of recent things I was going through, a lot of that quote-unquote random stuff was kind of popping up. Marjorie Prime, kind of a reminder about just things going on in my life and my mom in particular. It was actually a decent movie to check out, a little trippy, but I believe it was a movie based off of a stage play, and it's actually pretty good. Also, while I was checking out a song, Distance by Yebba, that's Y-E-B-B-A, the song is actually pretty cool and moving, and I was checking out some artist info, and it led to what I thought was more about the artist and things going on with her mom, but it was actually an article that was written by a woman, and where she talks about how her mom committed suicide, and she was going through mementos and going to the spot as a ways to understanding what led to that, and also ended up hit with a story from a friend going through something similar with one of their friends, or actually a friend's family member, and we just need to lift each other up and be aware of your friends and family and your fellow man. And, I need a lift every once in a while. And heck, I recently got hit with from some stress from a woman who was going through some things, and I kind of happened to absorb that, and I felt panicked, and I couldn't even think straight. So, I need the uplift as much as other people do as well. So, but my uplifting thing is to share some things with you. So, here's some other things I'm going to share. I know one of the movies that's coming out is Spike Lee's The Five Bloods, and I heard a review about this on the radio, and it sounded like it was pretty good. While I was looking up the name of his film, I saw that he produced a movie called See You Yesterday, directed by Stefan Bristol. And I believe it was released May 2019, and the premise looks really good. It's pretty much about two teen science prodigies who work on a method of time travel and use it to in an attempt to save their brother. It got a 95% in Rotten Tomatoes, and the New York Times gave a blurb of it's what Back to the Future might look like with a black cast and with higher stakes. So be on the lookout for that. Check those things out. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up and say thank you again for subscribing, for the positive feedback I've gotten from people, and for just hanging out with me for a little bit. I do appreciate that. And because I do know everybody's time is available, no matter if you're on lockdown at home, if you're at the grocery store, if you're getting gas, if you are working an essential job. Time is valuable. And I appreciate the fact that you are sharing that with me. So thank you very much. And with that, be kind to yourself and to each other. Thank you for listening to Mari's Golden Hour, and enjoy your day. Bye.